Hey everyone, it's Jeff Fisher of High School Football America, continuing our journey across the nation with the finalists for the 2024 Don Shula Award. What a prestigious award it is. And the guy on the other side of the box today, man, he's been doing it for a long time. I don't want to make you feel old, Coach Hart, but John Hart from Brownsburg High School in Indiana is the Colts Coach of the Year. 4 decades of doing it. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today, Coach. I think we'll have a lot to talk about. You've been doing this for a long time.
I have, and I played for a Hall of Fame coach, and then I ended up coaching for him, right, really at the end of college,
Oh,
and I was wanting to know everything, and he just looked at me and he goes, "Leave every place better than what when you came," and uh, and I go like, "Okay, yeah," like, and then you look back and you're going like, "Yeah, man, that guy, that was the right thing to say or the right thing to believe in."
I think that's a pretty good philosophy. Again, you're the coach of the year for the Colts, a Shula finalist. We're going to get to that to the end, but I want to spend a little bit of time here at the beginning, and that was a neat little tidbit you gave me. So I guess that's a good segue into the fact that as you guys win the 6A title this year, you become famous in Indiana for being the only coach to win three state titles at three different schools. And again, we could spend a whole probably an hour doing this. We only have about 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
But let's just talk about that philosophy and what you do when you get there, because obviously you're getting there and you're leaving with state championships. What are some of the John Hart things, fundamentals that you believe in that you take into the program, no matter whether it's in Illinois where you coached and now obviously in Indiana?
We kind of talk, and now it's a buzzword, so I don't know if it's near as valuable as what it was uh, as I was doing it. And we always talk about culture, and now that's kind of everybody talks about culture, and we talk about the process. And if you believe in our culture and the process of competing and the process of uh, you know loving each other and the game of football, then everything else kind of just happens, and it really does. I don't know that we're always running the best offense or the best defense. I don't know that we have the best offseason program, and I think it's one of the reasons why we have been really successful over the years. But I just believe it kind of comes back to the couple of those things. And we don't have a lot of kids transfer out. We don't have a lot of kids transfer in. And I wish the NCAA hadn't screwed that up.
Yeah.
Because now it's kind of coming into high school football a little bit. But I really believe the value of Friday night football and uh, high school football is getting missed a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, and that's a good segue into letting you talk a little bit about the community you're currently in and kind of the way football, high school football specifically, fits into the fabric. Is there a way for you to kind of put on that ambassador hat there and tell the people around the nation a little bit about Brownsburg?
It's an absolute incredible place. We had a national morning show to come in and do a broadcast this year when we were ranked really high at number one in the state and high in the country, and which was I've never had. Um, and people are asking about can we line the streets and like they wanted to make a parade out of it. But our signs, our street signs are purple and white. That's our colors. We have about 5 or 6 thousand people at every game. Ever since I've been here, I've been here 9 years. So through the good or the bad, we've had a lot of good years. We get 5 or 6. The student body is completely lined up, usually hours before the ball game. So I tell people that we're really kind of a slice of Texas football
Hmm.
in Indiana, because there is a huge passion for it here, and there's a huge following of it here. The importance of it. My administrators will tell you, hey, football is really important here. It's how we start out the school year. We're at Christmas break, and nobody's wanting to, fight, or nobody's wanting to miss school, or so it's a great community. I think we're about 3,500 kids. When I got here 9 years ago, we were 2,300. Uh, and we're the number one academic school in the state of Indiana, private and public. Uh, and it's kind of cool that to be a high school student in Brownsburg, Indiana.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I've spent some time in Indianapolis and learned about your little community there. And of course, I was there for racing. I think they have that little race there, the 500 or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll stick to football right now. But
Okay.
you've had I guess what now a month and a half to put your head on the pillow, kn knowing that you brought the dogs the first state championship I think since '85, if memory serves me correctly.
Well
Um,
done.
yeah, what puts a smile on your face when you even think back to those games back at Lucas Oil that put the gold medals around your necks?
I think this team, of the nine teams I've had here, uh, I think maybe talent wise or expectation wise, we were probably sixth or seventh out of those nine teams. So there wasn't a lot of people who had us being a state contender. And I'll be honest, we played two quarterbacks the entire year. A sophomore that's got Division I offers, a senior who was a great athlete and is going to play scholarship football somewhere. And we never made bones about it, and the kids never made a bones about it. They felt like they could be a part of something really special. But it's unique when you do something for the first time in 39 years. You win 8 games on the last series of the game, including every playoff game. Uh, our path in Indiana, we don't seed, and which could be another whole segment.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and you're put in by your location. Uh, so some of the best teams in the state are in our sectional. And last year we played in the first round of the sectional, and we were ranked, I think, number one, and Ben Davis was ranked number two. And the only team they lost to was some team called IMG,
Yeah.
and only by a touchdown. So, uh, and we lost in the fourth quarter. They did a great job, but so anyhow, I'll get off that part of it. But we won 8 games. I don't know that I've ever had a team win 2 games in the last series of a game in a season, which is what made it special. The one game we did lose, we came all the way back in, and right in the fourth quarter, a great ball player ran a kickoff return back for a touchdown, beat us.
Wow. Yeah, those are some memories there. Hey, 40 years, you could probably spend a lot of time in 300, well over 300 wins. You could probably tell me better about the losses than the wins, I would assume, knowing how old coaches are and all that. But I'm going to have you talk a little bit, especially since you have those Illinois ties as well, being a coach there. To me, as an outsider that obviously knows the nation pretty well and follows all the teams, I see Indiana being one of those states that has always been good, but I see kind of a little ascension there with some of the programs that are in the state, and I just wondered if you could spend a few moments talking about the quality of high school football statewide in the Hoosier State.
We're a little bit unique. We don't cap off schools much like Texas or Georgia or California or Ohio. So we're much bigger than most of those schools that are really good in football. I think if you take the MIC and the HCC, the two big conferences in the state of Indiana, I would take those 10 teams, especially our conference,
Hmm.
and play any conference in the country. And I really believe we would have the winning record. And you say, like, oh, what about Houston, Texas? The Katie's are terrific, and there's Dallas, and then there's the Florida schools. I'm just saying, you take our top 10 teams and compete against the top 10 teams in any other state. I would bet on us.
Well, you know what? That's just starting some conversation for people that are watching this right now that aren't Hoosiers. But you know what? I wouldn't have said it if I didn't believe it. I've been watching games there for a while now, and I just see the quality really going up. I mean, there's some states like that, whether it's North Carolina, Tennessee's kind of in that category too. So it's been fun to watch your growth, and nothing better than the game of football, high school football, being alive and well and thriving is the way I look at it. Coach, before we get into why you're here, which is the Shula Award and the Coach of the Year Award, one of the things I had on my list of talking to you about is the old coach has also got a tree. Now, a lot of coaches, like you said, that's the new thing, right? You know, Saban's tree. Who came in through that? I don't want to talk about the guys that you've coached. I want to talk about your family because I believe at one point your two sons and your two daughters were head coaches. Maybe not in football. The sons were in football, but I think your daughters were in maybe basketball, maybe volleyball. I don't know if I had that right or not.
You
But I
got
just
it. You're good.
Oh, okay, good. So I every so often the 64-year-old brain kicks in and has a memory to it. But anyway, I want you to tell me and tell the listeners around the nation, what's the best advice you gave those four when it came to going into the profession that obviously after 40 years, I think you love it.
Yeah, I do. And our kids spent their Sundays in a gym, uh, and we'd bring the whole neighborhood up there, and it was like now they call them clinics, but we were just having fun. And so I think the kids growing up thought that the local gym and the football fields were their playground because that's kind of where we were. Um, you know, it's our four kids. So my wife and I have been married 40 years. And she's been a teacher 35 years. I've been a teacher 40 years, kindergarten teacher. So, yeah,
Didn't know that.
I walk in her classroom and I'm thinking like she should be getting paid three times what I am. Uh, and then we have four kids, and Nick's a head football coach, won a state championship at a school called Gibson Southern here in Indiana. Derek's at a school now called North Central. They've had a couple tough years, but he was at Kankakee in Illinois. And on the same weekend, the two boys were in a state championship in Indiana and in Illinois.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's probably the greatest weekend I think I've ever had as a dad, getting to do that. My oldest daughter, Brittany, is in Jasper, Indiana. She's turned around three programs and is an incredible coach. A lot of my friends will say that the best coach in the family. Uh, my daughter Kristen's no longer coaching. They had a baby. Had to work really hard to have a baby, her and her husband, and has gotten out of coaching, but did an incredible job at Kankakee and South Spencer. So the whole family's been in it, and they're all heavily involved. If you could have seen us at the state championship game, it was more like a family reunion than it was a state championship game.
So do you have anything in your mind that you said to them before they got in the business? Because again, we know you all make millions of dollars as high school coaches. That goes without saying. Yeah, do you have any good, hey, watch out for this or do it this way or anything like that? Any good fatherly advice for them?
Some one of the things that they think your kids sometimes are successful because of like we go home and practice, or whatever. And both boys were all state, and Derek won a state championship as a quarterback. Nick was my coordinator on the previous two state championships we'd won. So it's always been kind of that family. This is the first one that John Hart's won without one of the two boys carried me. My staff now had to carry me. But we never did. I mean, like I said, those Sundays and Saturdays, we had a lot of fun playing together, but it wasn't like I took the boys through quarterbacking 101 and we didn't break down film at home. I thought they needed to be a kid and have a dad at home, not a coach. And now, according to my wife, I'm always coaching, but we just had a family, and I think they liked the other coaches so much. And if you look at all my best friends, still to this day, are coaching staffs of the places I've been and stuff. They're all family. And I think they liked the other coaches so much. And if you look at all my best friends, still to this day, are coaching staffs of the places I've been and stuff. They're all family. And I think they liked the other coaches so much. And if you look at all my best friends, still to this day, are we have still remained really, really close with all those guys.
That's great. And that's a good segue as we'll start talking a little bit about the award and allow you to get some coach speak in here and defer. And I'll help you with the first deferment, which is, obviously this is an award that has your name on it. However, you're not doing it alone. You've got the players and then you've got a staff, which you just touched on a little bit. Why don't you spend a few seconds here just talking about your staff and how integral they are to you winning this award and obviously winning a state championship with the school?
But I go back to we're such good friends, and even though they're younger, a lot of them are younger than my sons. Uh, but they believe in the culture and they believe in the process, and then a lot of them carry on and go to different places. But my defensive coordinator has been with me for 14 years now, 9 years, and then up at Huntley as well. His name's Casey Poppenfuss. He turned around our track program here, won the state in track. And then as a defense coordinator, won it there. He's one of the most incredible coaches that I've ran across. JT Whitaker was my offensive coordinator. He's now the head coach at Warren Central, one of my places have been at. So he just received that job. And Gage Reinhardt's another great coach that works with quarterbacks. And the advice my sons always tell coaches when they come onto staff and stuff is, hey, the one place you don't want to coach is quarterbacks, because I'm very I'm very critical of that. And Gage has done a great job. Dan
Uh,
Camp, if I can throw in just a couple more names.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Dan Schwanenkamp he won state championships over at Ben Davis, then came over here and does our special teams and linebackers. Puts together when I have to speak, puts presentations together. It's just one of those hugely valuable guys, and I'm leaving a lot of guys out. I may have the best O-line coach in the country, and uh, I know a lot of people have tried to get him to move. I'm hanging on, to him as much as I can. So, and then the very last guy and I'm missing a bunch, but Ricky Kreider played for me at Evansville Rights, one of the very best football players I've ever coached. He came on with me at Warren Central after he got done playing at Northern Illinois, went with me to Huntley and here. And my kids would say he's just a part of our family.
Well, like you said, you probably left some names out there. We apologize in advance. I only gave Coach so many minutes here to get through this, so I'll take the heat for you on that,
Okay, thank
Coach.
you.
Yeah, I mentioned before, you won the championship at Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Colts. Obviously, you're the Colts Coach of the Year. Aside from what does it mean to you to be, winning this honor, what does it mean to you to be a coach in a state where you've got an NFL team and that NFL team is reaching down into the roots of the game, whether it's tackle or where they're expanding now with flag?
You know, I spoke about this earlier. One of the great things about football in Indiana right now is that, and I know it's a long time ago, but when the Colts moved here from Baltimore and they had a vision, football here meant nothing. Matter of fact, I was in Illinois, never even thought I wanted to coach in Indiana because the only thing they talked about was basketball.
Yeah.
But now you see our football stadiums, and it's not just us, but especially us, and it's because of Jim Irsay, and it's because of Peyton Manning, and it's because of Tony Dungy, and really Peyton Manning probably deserves more credit. And I've never met him, uh, but he probably deserves more credit for the state of Indiana becoming a football. And I hate when people go say football state or football school because I don't believe in that. I think you can be a lot of things in a school or in a state, but man, football is the Lucas Oil sold out every week. And even though we're not having the success we want to have right now, as far as competing for Super Bowls, I think we have the right pieces there. And it all starts with those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and Pat McAfee has been bragging here over the last couple of years a lot about how loud Lucas Oil Stadium can be. So, as we wind things down here, a couple more questions for you, Coach. Obviously, I'd love you to talk a little bit about what this award means to you, but at the same time, as a joking to get you into it. Again, this allows you to get into your coach speak. At what point did you ever dream that the name John Hart and Don Shula would be used in the same sentence?
Never, and I'm not sure it should. But I'm so freaking honored. Don Shula, I can't. You and I are close to the same age. You watch Don Shula, and you think of the icons of the icons. As much as I love what Tony Dungy is and represents, and I've heard him speak 100 times. He couldn't pick me up out of a lineup, but uh, Don Shula. I mean, yeah, you just say that name, and gosh, man, I'm honored. I don't know that I could say enough things to say what it means to have that name and just be in the same sentence.
Yeah. And what does it mean to you to be honored by the Colts with this award as far as the coach of the year and now being a finalist for that prestigious Shula award?
Well, I hope I honor it in a way of growing football. I love this sport. I don't like it. I love it. I love the people who are involved in it. I love what it's, even though it's not popular, maybe overall in the world right now, but I love what it represents. And, I think the things that everybody aspires to have, you can't buy. Love, faith, friendship, those things and toughness. You can't buy those things. And you can say you want them, but you can't buy them. And football teaches all those. And you're ultimately successful. You can go 0-10, or you can be a state champion. If you embrace those things, football will give you back a heck of a lot more, which it has me, than you can ever get out of it, whether you're signing these NIL things for $4 million, or whether you're playing Division III football.
Just playing for the love of the game. Well, Coach, congratulations on being honored by the Colts. I know you got a little bit of time here to find out if you are the finalist, but more importantly, I just want to thank you for what you've done for student athletes in Indiana and in Illinois. There, it takes a lot. I do a lot of bragging about the coaching profession. I think it's the best thing there is in this country, and to hang around for 40 years, it's says a lot about you. So thank you for doing all you do for student athletes. And best of luck when it comes to the Shula Award nominee being maybe made into a finalist. Who knows?
Well, thank you. And if I am, that's terrific. If I'm not, I love just where we are right here. But hey, what you guys are doing with high school football America, and gosh, I don't need to say anything nice. It's changes things, and having a popular spin and a belief. And like I said, I love football. You can tell you guys love football in the sport and what it can do for people.
No, thank you for your kind words. Appreciate it.